having discussed the pre-ecological sociology and again highlighting the problems of this pre-ecological sociology, the shortcomings of this pre-ecological sociology, let us consider an important question: why sociology did not take into account the natural factors in its explanation of social variables, or in other words, as Raymond Murphy puts the question more prominently, why nature did not matter to sociology. Raymond identifies several factors for which sociology created its account, constructed its account outside the nature. To begin with, Raymond Murphy highlights the disciplinary specialization within sociology. As Raymond Murphy writes, or as Raymond Murphy says, that sociologists specialize in society. Society becomes our bread and butter. So, therefore, we choose to focus only those variables which are social in nature. So, therefore, variables like class, caste, gender, ethnicity, these variables becomes important for sociologists, and sociologists therefore did not encourage interdisciplinary research. Sociologists explained social phenomenon taking into account only these social variables, and sociology did not encourage for most part interdisciplinary research to examine how these social variables are influenced, or how do they influence other non-sociological variables. This kind of production of sociological knowledge on social action in fact denatured the humans, their society and their culture. So, therefore, this kind of explanation of social reality, this kind of explanation of social phenomenon where nature did not matter, created a kind of understanding where nature moves away from the social world, or in other words, social action, social variables have been denatured. Nature has been kept outside the social world or explanation of the social world, and therefore sociologists have specialized only on social. Sociologists specialize only on social variables or social phenomena, and sociologists did not bother to understand that how these social variables, how these social facts or social processes are influenced, and as well as influence other non-sociological factors. The second reason which Raymond Murphy identifies as a factor for which sociology did not take into account nature is that of revulsion and repulsion. What Murphy says that there is somewhat, and what Murphy says that there is a kind of repulsion within sociology towards non-sociological explanations of social reality. It is not that there has been no attempt in sociology to explain social phenomenon with the help of non-sociological phenomena. There has been attempts to understand society by nature, there has been attempt to understand social by natural or by natural phenomenon, but all these attempts within sociology to explain the natural to explain the social with the help of the natural variables had the effect of distancing itself from sociology. In other words, sociology has distanced itself from any kind of explanations which are non-sociological in nature. I think perhaps the best example will be that of Herbert Spencer's the social Darwinism. Social Darwinism was considered as a conservative account within sociology. So, therefore, sociological analysis of sociological phenomenon with the help of Darwin's principles of natural selection is considered as biologically deterministic sociology. So, therefore, biological explanations were discarded by sociologists. For example, biological explanations of inequality, where inequality was explained in terms of heredity, where inequality was explained in terms of race, where inequality is explained in terms of geographical factors. These kind of explanations of social reality, these kind of explanations of inequality has been ignored by the sociology. The third reason which Raymond Murphy identifies as a factor for which nature did not matter to sociologists is that of aggravating tendency within sociology. What Murphy says that recent developments within sociology has been aggravated a tendency to neglect the relationship between the social world or social processes and that of nature. What Murphy says that recent developments in sociology has aggravated the tendency to neglect the relationship between the social processes and that of nature. So, to make the point clear, what Morphy says that over the years two kinds of sociology have emerged, or two distinct broad traditions in sociology have emerged. One where sociology has focused on understanding the social system, second where sociology has focused on understanding the human agency. Well, the analysis of social system has been further elaborated by theoretical perspectives like structural functionalism, conflict theory of Karl Marx. Sociology which emphasized on human agency has been elaborated by theoretical perspectives like social constructivism, which we just now discussed, social constructivism of Peter Berger and Thomas Luckmann, by ethnometrology, and by sociology of knowledge and sociology of science. So, what Raymond Morphy says that both these sociological traditions, the sociological tradition of understanding the social system and the sociological tradition of understanding the human agency, both these traditions, despite their differences in understanding social reality, has been quite similar so far as their approach towards the natural world is concerned, because both these perspectives have almost neglected natural world in their explanation of social world. Raymond Morphy says that till 1960s, the task of sociology was to investigate the system working behind the human beings to maintain an order. In other words, sociology was focusing more on explanation of the social system. What are the factors, what are the processes, what are the social features that construct or that constitutes order in society. So, therefore, the main question for sociologists was that of how order is maintained in society. What are the social forces that shape human action? What are the social forces that maintains order in society? So, when we know that functionalism and conflict theory provided different accounts to this question. Functionalism emphasized on functional prerequisites that has to be met in order to maintain order in society, in order to maintain equilibrium in society. Conflict theory of Karl Barth or Marxian analysis, Marxian tradition emphasized on social conflicts. Marxian tradition emphasized on conflicts among social classes, and it is through these conflicts that social change becomes possible, and it is through these conflicts that progress becomes possible. But from what Morphy says that from 1960s there has been a change in sociological examination, or there has been a change in sociological investigation. From 60s, sociologists have much focused on explaining human agency, how agency produces certain social forces, or how agency produced social reality. But again, what Morphy says that despite their differences in explaining society, or despite their differences in comprehending the social reality, what is important to understand is that both traditions have nothing to say about the nature-society interaction. Both these traditions, while one examined how order is maintained in society, one examined the social system, and the other examined the human agency, while giving accounts of the society, both these perspectives have ignored the nature and have nothing to say that how social reality is produced in interaction with nature. Besides the three internal factors which are responsible for ignoring nature in sociology, Raymond Morphy also identifies certain external factors which are responsible for ignoring nature in sociology. What Morphy highlights is that sociology emerged in an era of extraordinary abundance, or an era of exuberance. During the time when sociology emerged in Western Europe, there was an all-pervading idea in society that nature and humans share a plastic relationship. Raymond Morphy summarizes the basic characteristics of Western society during the time when sociology emerged into three factors, three categories. What he says is that during the time when sociology emerged, there was an ideology in Western society which believed in the feasibility of the goal that mastering the nature is possible. So, therefore, there was an idea in society that it is possible to master the nature, and secondly, there is also the conception of plasticity of the relationship of humans to the nature, which means that nature is something which can be altered, which can be modified at the will of the humans. Humans have the ability, they have the will to alter the nature to their own benefit. And thirdly, during the time when sociology evolved in Western society, there was also the faith that technology has rendered humans being exempt from the constraints of nature, which means that humans have the capacity to be exempted from the constraints of nature, and they can alter the nature as per their wish. These governing factors of society, which created an human exceptionalism paradigm in Western society, resulted in development of a kind of sociology which was ignorant towards the nature. Far from being an unbiased observation of society and its culture, sociology has been socially constructed in a specific cultural context. So, the prevailing order of the society, the prevailing ideology of the society when sociology emerged as a discipline has a significant impact on theoretical ideas or theoretical perspectives of the discipline. Emergence of sociology was influenced by the prevailing assumptions of the then Western society. So, sociological perspectives, sociological ideas corresponded to the assumptions and practices of the capitalist bureaucrats and politicians of the then Western society. The capitalist state's explicit rejection of the ecological limits got resonated within sociology. So, like the larger society, sociologists also believed that natural limits do not exist, and if any limit exists to human progress, if any limits exist to human growth, that is social limits which can be dealt with appropriate technology and with right kind of intervention. For like capitalists, sociologists also stressed on production and construction rather than adapting themselves to the nature. So, sociologists believe that what should be emphasized is the production process, or like the capitalist or like the capitalist state, sociologists also emphasized on production and construction rather than adapting themselves, human beings, to that of nature. So, this kind of sociology, which is a product of its own time, what Raymond Murphy says, resulted in becoming an sociological expression of modern society that was careless about nature. So, like the social values, like the dominant social ideologies did not care about the nature, sociology as a discipline also did not care about the nature. Sociology developed in the wealthiest nations, and whose citizens shared an illusion that they have the ability to reshape the nature on their own will. So, therefore, what Raymond Murphy highlights time and again is that it is the emergence of sociology in a specific cultural context. It is the emergence of sociology in a specific socio-economic context that led sociologists to develop their theories, to develop their perspectives in certain ways where nature did not matter. And like Dunlop and Catton says, that the age of exuberance led to an exuberant sociology, that the prevailing ideologies of the society, the prevailing dominant ideologies of the society had a great impact on the discipline of sociology itself. So, as a result, what we find that sociology developed into a kind of perspectives where nature had limited role in explaining social variables, in explaining social phenomena.